Welcome to the Glendale Water and Power Commission meeting. Today's date is November 3rd, 2014. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes, and before I proceed with roll call, Commissioner Jemian and Commissioner Yao will not be attending today's meeting. Commissioner Camargo?
Here.
Commissioner Hale?
Here.
President Chan?
Present. Next item, please.
2, consent items. A, approval of the October 6, 2014 meeting minutes.
I review them. I have no request to change or modify. And how about the two of you? No? Okay.
Just, I think it accurately reflects the record, just a couple of typos if I can. So under section 4, at the end of that first line there, it should be effect August 1. And then in the next line, it should be this indicates, as opposed to indications. Those two, please.
So with those changes, please go ahead and approve the minutes.
Okay.
Next item, please.
3, GWP Commission staff comments.
Nope. There's no comments. Next item.
4, reports. A, water conservation update.
Ms. Hartunian.
Thank you. Madam President, members of Commission, hello, my name is Atine Hartunian, and I'm here to give you a brief update on our water conservation outreach activities. So far, we are seeing around a 10% reduction in our water usage compared to the same period last year, similar to what I presented to you in our last meeting. We expect to see continued reductions, and we'll share those with you in future meetings. The residents of Glendale have been very water-wise in general, not just due to the mandatory water conservation restrictions. Our customers, like many in Southern California, are inundated with conservation messaging everywhere they are. They drive, they're seeing it on the news, on the freeways, in advertisements. So we are definitely seeing this and raising the awareness of it. And because of all of our messaging is aligned and similar. Currently, there is no set time frame for mandatory efforts. As long as the drought continues, the effort is needed on a local and statewide basis, but we will keep our measures in place at the time. We're already planning our activities for early spring, and we will share that campaign with you earlier next year to get your feedback. And also, we continue to follow MWD's lead in their messaging and aligning it with ours and modifying it if necessary. Our outreach continues through social media, our ads in our Beeline buses at the Americana and local papers and our website. Over 700 customers have visited our water conservation page in the month of October. We are currently promoting our turf replacement program and have had over 900 site visits to our information page in just the month of October. Over 105 residents are currently participating in our turf removal rebate program with a total reserved rebate of $328,000 and 11 commercial customers with a total reserve rebate of $2.4 million. We have paid out 9 rebates to our residential customers totaling $21,564 and paid out 1 commercial customer rebate of $6,000. Currently, we have water conservation bill inserts and bill messaging in our October through December bills. Recently, we designed ad tags in the Glendale News Press to remind our customers of our mandatory restrictions. I've provided a copy for you. It's right here. These are small tags that are removable that can be placed anywhere else in the house as a reminder. They were on the October 16th and the October 9th issues of the Glendale News Press. And on the second page is a sample copy of our bill insert that's currently in all the bills. We continue to attend various community events, including the Montrose Farmers Market, to promote conservation. We have 2 scheduled presentations to the community. One is on November 5th at the Glendale Central Library at 10 a.m., and the other is on November 8th to the First Baptist Church in Glendale. So our team is available to do more water conservation presentations to the community as necessary. We continue to work with our businesses and multifamily housing units to provide educational materials as well as conservation materials as necessary. And we continue to send out letters and water leak alerts to our customers. Lastly, our Water Smart program that's available and helping our customers to conserve by sending out water usage report and leak alerts. And Tammy will be going through that program in her presentation in a few moments. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that update. Very thorough. I like that. And this article that you pointed out with the dates of when water, water conservation should be held and the days that you can water. This information is on the website, right?
Yes, it's in everything that we send out to our customers.
Okay. So yeah, just for our viewers right now, it appears we can water Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And it doesn't state the time frame here, but I think it's like 20 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Mm-hmm. 10 minutes? Okay, for those 3 days. Okay, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. One more question, please. Actually, a couple of thoughts. So actually, in the customer service report, there is there's a call out in terms of the water waster, in terms of, I guess, the percentage of total contacts by type. Anyway, it's the largest slice in the pie is water waster. Do you know, and it's a relatively negative element of the campaign, that is, right, so identifying those folks who are wasting water. But do you know what the disposition of some of those calls is? That is to say, what are we doing about that?
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, what we do is we send them a letter. We indicate that there's just reminding them in a very positive way of the ordinance that we have in place. It's not our intent to take that information and go out and make accusations against them. As you've probably seen me in the paper say, I don't want to make criminals out of our residents. But for those who continue to waste water in deference to the ordinance, then we will take action. But a lot of folks, it is a surprise that a lot of folks don't realize that we have it in place. They don't realize what the time frames are. They'll tell you that we only water twice a day. But do you water for 10 minutes? No, we water for like a half hour and that kind of thing. And as you can imagine, I'll be quite honest with you, it is also a way for neighbors who have previous disputes to use this as something to go after their neighbor on, whatever the problem is. And so we have to be very careful of how we handle those. So what we try to do is send a letter out reminding the individual that we have this program in place and what the restrictions are, and kind of take it from there. And Tammy can talk a little bit more when she gets up, but I think our response to that has been generally very positive. There's some people that are a little irritated that somebody turned them in, obviously, but for most people they respond and they said, I didn't know, and thank you for telling me, and we move on from there. So we really haven't had anybody we had to go after hard. Most people, when reminded, comply.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Thank you for that. One other suggestion, actually. So do we have outreach to school-age children as part of your outreach program?
Yes. One of the programs that we have is our Living Wise program. It provides each sixth grade student with a kit that they take home. It includes a faucet aerator, a shower head, and also energy conservation materials. And the teacher uses that kit to educate students about conservation. And we've been doing that program for over 10 years. So we've working with all of the Glendale Unified School District students through that program.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other question.
Sure.
What is MWD's sort of level of alarm right now in terms of their storage, the state of their storage, and then is there a kind of regional water agency target for conservation, and are we meeting that target or not?
Go ahead and respond.
Well,
I can respond. Okay.
The state of California has indicated 20% reduction. As you heard Atina say, we're at about 10. So we're falling short if you use that as the benchmark. MWD, although they continue to talk about the large amount of storage they have, it isn't with as much confidence as it was 6 months ago. So as things continue and some of the outlooks are even more grim than they were 6 months ago about how long this might last, they're being very cautious and getting ready to implement further measures. There are some cities near us, on either side of us, who've already taken their conservation efforts to the next level. My understanding was Pasadena and Burbank were going to go to 1 day a week watering. LA was going to stay at 3. So we'll have to continue to monitor ours and see at some point whether we want to move forward with going into the next phase of our program and bringing that back to council. So at this point in time, it's continuing to be very, very cautious. And I think, as we've said and what we hear is it'll probably get worse before it gets better. So you can imagine that we probably will see us continuing to increase our conservation efforts in light of the fact that we just aren't going to get the type of water rain. Even though we had a good rain this weekend, we had it all in about 25 minutes and wreaked its usual damage that we have to deal with. But, now we're back to 90-degree weather by the end of the week. So I think that everybody is proceeding very, very cautiously on this. So as we said, we'll watch that. We'll keep an eye on it. And at some point, we are going to be going back to council one way or the other with our drought rate update, and then a whole state of the state kind of issue with regards to water availability and the drought. And we'll see at that point what kind of reaction we get.
Are there new programs that we may be considering or we're currently looking at rolling out?
We are looking at a grant program through Metropolitan. They offer a certain amount of money for education programs. So, like I said, we're planning our spring campaign right now, and we will be applying for that grant. At this time, what MWD is also increasing some of their rebates for some of their products, such as rain barrels. So we are a part of that. So when they do increase their incentive, then it does apply to our customers. So those are some of the options. And MWD, I know is definitely looking at newer programs for customers in our service area. So at this point, they haven't announced anything yet, but those are the two main ones.
And once they're announced, we will have that information on our website as well.
Yes, if we participate along with them, which we have been, then we will update our website and notify our customers.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Next item, please.
4B, Water Service Division update.
Mr. Aboig.
Good afternoon, President Chan, Commissioners. This afternoon, we'll give you an update on the different activities that we have in water, and we'll focus on two things today. One is to give you an update on the priority projects that we spent the bond money on relating to the pipelines. In future meetings, we'll be giving you a full update on where the bond money is being spent, but figured that it's good for you to give you some successes of where we've been with our projects. And we're also going to give you an update as it relates to the drought, where we are with our wells and how the wells are doing. So today, those presentations will be made by Kevin Drunser, our Civil Engineer 2, and also by Leo Chan, our Civil Engineer 1. So let's start with Kevin, please.
Good afternoon, Madam President and other Commission members. My name is Kevin Runzer. I'm a Civil Engineer 2 with GWP Water. I will be providing a short report on the status of some of the current water capital projects funded by the Water Bond. The presentation has been put on a PowerPoint format, which we have on the right over here. There's three projects that I'd like to discuss. The first one is Adams Hill, which has been completed in its construction. Kenyatta, it's a currently ongoing project in construction at about 85% complete right now. And Betty Davis Recycled Water, which is a completed project also. The first project of discussion is the Adams Hill. The exhibit map on the screen shows the location of the project. It is generally in the Adams Hill area of the city, which is at the city's southerly limits bordering Los Angeles. In this project, to summarize, there was about 7,100 feet of water main installed, as shown by the green and red lines on the map. The red lines represent existing 4-inch mains that were replaced with new 8-inch ductile iron water mains, and the green lines represent new 8-inch ductile iron water mains that were installed in streets that didn't have an existing main. By adding these mains to these streets that didn't have mains previously, we were able to add some additional fire hydrant and fire protection. Excuse me. Some of the benefits realized by this project of Adams Hill is improved water flow, improved water quality, improved water system reliability, improved fire protection. We now meet the city's fire flow requirements and hydrant spacing standards.
So Question for you. So is that across the city or just in these
Just in
areas?
these areas.
Do we still have
We're
other-
working, as we do each new project, we add additional fire hydrants to bring everything up to the current regulations and codes. Now, the scope of work for Adams Hill was the installation of 7,100 lineal feet of new 8-inch ductile iron main to replace existing 4-inch cast iron water main that was from the 1920s and 1940s. We installed 69 isolation valves on those new mains, 154 new 1-inch copper services, and 19 new fire hydrants. Some comments on the cost, schedule, and status of this project. Construction was completed on September 23rd, with the original schedule being October 6th, so we were able to complete within the schedule. The project had a budget of $3.412 million. We are expecting final costs to be about $3.04 million, so we are within the budget. At this time, we just recently constructed it, so we don't have all the costs. All the bills have not come in yet to compile, but we're looking at about 3.04. This project has 0 construction change orders. This is very rare for a project of this size and nature, and shows that the project was well managed.
I want to just inject something because that's a very good point, and I don't want these gentlemen to sell themselves short. This project was outstanding, outstanding. From beginning to end. This is a design-build project. We worked in one of the most difficult areas in the city to work in. Mr. Hale knows very well. Driving a vehicle to collect, in my previous job, collecting garbage in this area was a daily chore, literally very, very tedious. So you can imagine going through and tearing this neighborhood up where you don't have a lot of parking. And when that's probably not even characterizing it right. There's no parking on the street, and to have to take it away, the way it was phased by the contractor and the staff, the fact that it came in under budget, well under budget, at least as it looks now, 0 change orders. We added fire hydrants. How many fire hydrants did we add, Kevin?
There's about 19.
So you can imagine, that sounds like a great thing, right? But think about Adams Hill, because with a fire hydrant comes red curb and no parking. So nobody was really thrilled about that. In fact, there was a lot of people that were kind of contemplating fire protection, parking. But we were able to work through every one of those, and I think everybody in our staff and the contractor did an outstanding job, so they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, sounds like it. And when did this project start?
It started, the construction started, I believe, around March or April
Of this year?
Of this year.
Oh,
yes.
okay, so it lasted 6-7 months?
Yes.
Yeah, 0 construction change orders, that's unheard of, so.
Yeah, this was a design-build
Congratulations, yeah.
type of project where the designer and the contractor, they work together as a design-build entity. This is one of our first projects that we've tried to utilize this method of construction.
And we are embarking on another in Beaudry Terrace. You'll see that. It hasn't started. It's been awarded by council, but we'll come back. Should be interesting to see how that goes, too. Also not an easy place to work, but it is the same design-build concept, and as it turns out, the same contractor that we used in Adams Hill won the bid. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, too, but I'm expecting it to be as successful as this one was.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Second project I'd like to talk about is the Kenyatta project. General limits of this project are Kenyatta Boulevard from the southerly Vertigo Kenyatta split, which is near the Glendale College, proceeding up north to Glorietta Avenue. This one we did 10,800, well, we're still in construction. We're 85% complete, but it's pretty much a done deal right now. But 10,820 feet of cleaning and lining work of existing mains and 5,585 feet of new water main replacement. I have on the map 2 different colors, red and blue. The red lines represent existing 4-inch cast iron mains that were replaced with new 8-inch ductile iron, and the blue lines represent existing cast iron mains that are larger than 4-inch, I believe in the range of 6 to 30-inch, that were cleaned and cement mortar lined. It should be mentioned that this Kenyatta water project was part of a larger Glendale public works project that involves storm drains and street improvements. And so this was a collaboration between the two departments to coordinate the construction of the public infrastructure improvements so that we can minimize only inconvenience the public wants. And we saved some money on the trenching and repaving since we were able to do the water main trench work and the paving of the road afterwards, kind of in a more cost-effective manner.
And when is this project going to be completed?
Well, the water portion will be around the end of November, but after the water mains are put in, the streets have to be rehabilitated, and so that, I believe, is going all the way till January. Finish that off.
And what was the original the date that we expected this work to be completed?
It's pretty much the same.
The same? We're on target?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
The benefits of this project. Benefits, they're pretty much the same benefits as the Adams Hill project. I won't go through all the different points again. In addition, I mentioned about another benefit was combining with public works. So, move on to scope of this project, a little bit more detail than what I earlier mentioned. There was the installation of 5,585 feet of 8-inch main. This is to replace the existing 4-inch main that was full of tuberculation and other types of deposits. Cleaning and cement mortar lining of 10,820 feet of 6 to 30-inch cast iron water mains. Installation of 55 isolation valves. Replacement of 15 fire hydrants. Installation of 12 new fire hydrants. So the 12 are additional that we never had before. The other 15, they were old fire hydrants that needed replacement. Regarding cost, schedule, and status of this, as I mentioned earlier, the project's about 85% complete. We're aiming for around the end of November for construction. I should make note that we don't have total control over the construction dates because the contractor is also working for Public Works, so they're kind of doing the Public Works portion of the water to the best of the whole, not just focusing on water. Okay. The project had a budget of about $5.1 million. We're expecting final costs to be about $4.5 million. That number isn't hard fixed at this point since we're not finished construction, but that's what we're estimating. And we're estimating change orders will be about 3% of the construction costs, which is very good. Also, once again, for a project of this size and nature, and showing good management of the project. And the third and final project I'd like to speak about is Betty Davis Park Recycled Water Line. This is a 8-inch PVC recycled water line that's about 4,625 feet in length. It provides recycled water to Betty Davis Park, which is in the city of Los Angeles. The general limits are Flower Street from Paula Avenue to Sonora Avenue, and Sonora Avenue from Flower Street to the city of Glendale, Los Angeles border, which is near Victory Boulevard. The benefits of this project are the extension of the city's recycled water system as requested by the City of Los Angeles. City of Los Angeles will reimburse us for the costs associated with the construction of this project. Scope of work, installation of 4,625 feet of 8-inch PVC recycled water pipe, 4 8-inch isolation valves, 2 air release valves, and 1 8-inch recycled water meter. I should make note that we are building this project to the City of Glendale, LA border, and the City of LA will continue on and join from the border and bring it to the park. Cost, schedule, and status for this project. Project was completed construction on October 9th. Scheduled completion was September 30th. The reason for a slight slip in schedule was due to issues with obtaining a Caltrans permit for working within the right-of-way. There was a portion that went underneath a freeway overpass, and we were required to get a Caltrans permit and special construction requirements of putting the pipe within a steel casing. This project had a budget of $1.805 million. We're expecting final costs to be about $1.775, so we are within budget. And change orders are expected to be about 3% once again, same as the Kenyatta project. And I'd say once again, I think all three of these projects were managed very fiscally responsible and on schedule. And this would conclude my presentation, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, thanks. That's great information, and I do have a question. Are these the only 3 capital improvement projects? Or
Oh, no, there's quite a few more.
But you chose these 3 because they're the biggest and farthest along, or what's the reason for emphasizing these 3? Right now, okay.
Yeah, we intend to bring back to you, I think it's on schedule in December to give you a report on the complete bonds, but what we wanted to give you just a preview of the success we've had with the projects that we have, that some of the improvements we're making where their citizens are actually benefiting upon completion of the project. They were completed recently, and we wanted to take the opportunity to let you know that these things have been done.
Yeah, that's great. These 3 all look really good, and I was just wondering, like, what else, are we going to be looking at, and where are they, and do we have enough funding for it, and at what point are we going to need to go out for like water bond again? Those are kind of.
Well, I'm hoping we don't have to go for a water bond anytime soon. If you recall, the way we set the rate structure was to have pay-go in the outgoing years. So, unfortunately, in the water side of the operation, that could be impacted by drought and the drop in revenue that's associated with the drought and the decrease in water usage. So we'll have to reevaluate that when we get there. So, but for a solid 3 years, you're going to see bond proceeds being used to go through and primarily upgrade the distribution system, as we had indicated before. Pipes and valves, and get that cast iron out of there and get
for the solid 3 years, you were saying?
Yeah,
okay.
It'll be pretty, and this was just a real, and we did the best we could, a priority list. Adams Hill, as you may recall, has been high on the priority list. In fact, it was on the priority list when the utility hit some tough financial times and we had to take it off and defer it. So that has been something we wanted to do for a long time. As Kevin indicated, Kenyatta needed to have the work done, but Public Works coming in with a big project, we waited, as we should, I believe. That's my feeling. And those should be coordinated as best we can so that the impact is one time to the residents. And certainly we don't want to go back and dig up brand new streets and put in pipes afterwards. It just doesn't look good. It's poor planning. We want to make sure we didn't do that. So you'll see a couple more. I mentioned Beaudry Terrace. That one was just awarded, and then Ramon will go through a projection of where we're going to go down the line.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Leo Chan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, yeah, I just want to double commend your staff on Adams Hill, because not only did you come in early, under budget, and with 0 change orders, I didn't even experience, that's my neighborhood, and I didn't even experience a single neighborhood impact. So, I mean, it's remarkable for a project of this nature where you're tearing up streets and replacing this, 100-year-old infrastructure that's underground, for there to be almost virtually no traffic impacts that I was able to discern, or any kinds of neighborhood impacts. So I just want to commend the staff for that.
Thank you.
Okay, next item?
Mr. Chan is going to do the second part of our show here and talk about the...
Okay, great.
Hi, good afternoon, President Chan and Commissioners. Today I'm here to give you quick updates on the status of our groundwater wells in the Vertigo Basin and some of the challenges we're facing. We prepared a quick PowerPoint show, and I think you have a copy in front of you.
Yes.
So Glendale has a total of 6 active groundwater wells in the Vertigo Basin. There are Gloria wells 3, 4, and 6, Foothill well, and Vertigo wells A and B. Currently, Vertigo wells A and B are offline pending inspection and possibly well rehabilitation. And to give an idea of the location of the wells and the Vertigo Basin in Glendale, the pink area, the light pink area is the city boundary of Glendale. The shaded area is the Vertigo Basin located underneath the northern portion of the city. And here's a more clear picture of the Vertigo Basin. We have Glendale wells 3 and 4 located along Kenyatta Boulevard, south of Glendale Park. And Glendale well 6, just south of the Oakmont Country Club Golf Course. Vertigo wells A and B across from Vertigo Park, and Foothill well in the La Crescenta Monrose area on Foothill Boulevard. This is a graph showing the groundwater levels at Glendale Wells 3. The line on top represents the static groundwater level. A static groundwater level represents the groundwater level when the pump is not being pumped. So it tells us how much water is available in the ground. The line below in blue is the pumping groundwater level. The line represents where the groundwater level dropped to when the well is being run. And the light brown line below that line is the well pump depth. That's where the well pump is being installed in the well. We do not want the pumping level to drop below the well pump depth, because when that happens, the groundwater level is below the pump intake, and the pump will be sucking air in, and that will cause cavitation in the pump or burning of the pump. So we always want to keep the pumping level above the brown line.
Was there an incident with that in November of 2013?
Yes, that happened, and we noticed that happened, so we had to partially close the discharge valve at the wellhead to reduce the pumping rate, so it will raise back up the pumping groundwater level. And shortly after that, we asked the pumping well contractor to come and evaluate the wells, and we did the well rehabilitation at well 3 and 4 in the last fall of 2003.
One more question for you, please, Mr. Chan.
Yes.
So, and then what is the total depth of the well? Is that the 180, for instance, on that slide? The previous slide. How deep is the well?
It's close to 200, I think.
Okay, thank you.
This slide shows the pumping rate at Glendale Well 3. The pumping rate represents how many gallons of water being pumped up from the well every minute. We rehabilitated well number 3 in fall of 2013. The well was expected to produce 350 gallons per minute. After the rehabilitation, based on the pumping test done, but currently we are only able to pump around 150 gallons per minute because there's not enough water in the ground. During this drought period, the groundwater is not recharging fast enough, and when we pump at 350 gallons per minute, we're drawing down the groundwater level below the well pump depth and pumping air in. So, as mentioned before, we have to partially close the discharge valve to reduce the pumping rate so we can maintain a higher pumping groundwater level above where the pump is sitting.
Mr. Chan, can I ask you one more question as we go along here?
Sure.
So, now, I seem to recall that there was either a new state statute or proposed law that dictated the rate at which you could extract water from a well was not able to go beyond the level to which the well could be restored. Does this sound familiar?
I'm not.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's Ramona Break again. Yeah, there's a new regulation that came out, but that doesn't apply to us because we have a court order. We're adjudicated by the water master under the Yulara, the Upper Los Angeles River area. So whatever adjudication we have, we maintain that. We don't fall under the new regulation that just came out.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, the only restriction is we cannot pump more than what we're allocated, and we're well below that limit.
Thank you.
So to maintain a higher pumping groundwater level, as a result, we have to lower the groundwater production for well 3 and 4. And here's a graph showing the groundwater level at Glendale well 4. It shares the same pattern as Glendale well 3. And this is the pumping rate graph at Glendale well 4. We're facing the same challenge as at Glendale well 3. This well was also rehabilitated last year. The expected pumping rate was supposed to be around 500 gallons per minute after the well rehabilitation, but because of the drought, the groundwater is not recharging fast enough. We had to reduce the pumping rate to maintain the higher pumping level. This is the groundwater level chart for Glendale well 6, similar to well 3 and 4. This graph shows the pumping rate at Glendale well 6. We're pumping at about 50% of the well capacity right now.
Sorry, on Glorietta well 6,
Yes.
there's a big jump up in the level of groundwater. Is that attributable to a stormwater recapture project or some kind of an infiltration project, or what could that be attributed to?
We are unsure of this jump, why it happened. This data is taken twice a month and actually weekly for pumping level. So,
We'd like to take credit for it,
Good
but
problem
it
to
is
have, but yeah, no, just.
this is the groundwater level chart for graph for Foothill well. And as you can see, we're pumping very close to the well pump depth. Also, at Foothill well, we're able to only pump around 50% of the well capacity. In summary, there are 3 main reasons why our wells are producing less groundwater in the Vertigo Basin today. First, reducing groundwater supply. Second, substantial decline in groundwater level. And third, maybe the well simply just need to be rehabilitated to clean out and remove all the sediments and calcium buildup, bio life form that's plugging the well casing and soil formation, which is preventing the groundwater from flowing into the well. And so the first 2 factors are related to the drought we're experiencing. Our groundwater production is definitely being impacted by the drought. And a lot of water agencies in California is also facing the same challenge. It's always our goal to maximize the local groundwater resources before we import water from Metropolitan Water District. With that note, that concludes my presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's really interesting. So for the third point, well may require rehabilitation. Where are we with that? Are we thinking about that? And how big a deal is that? And how much is it? Can you provide any more information?
Yeah, we currently have some bids out on the street to get some bids on rehabilitating some of the wells. Two of them, if you notice in the presentation, are Vertigo wells A and B. Those wells are not producing at all what they need to be. So we're looking at the rehab includes not just replacing the pump, but looking at maybe digging deeper. So we're considering that right now for Vertigo wells A and B, and we're also looking at rehabbing well number 4. Are the 3 wells that's on the schedule. So the RFP for Vertigo is already out on the street. We actually got the bids, but we're evaluating whether or not this is a time to do it if we're still going to run into a lot of dirt in the ground and no water. So we're putting that off at this time.
And the amount of investment versus like how much are we getting back? And
Yeah, it depends on the size of the well. If I recall correctly, we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions. That's for 2 wells. And the payback is really trying to avoid what we do, how much water dependence we have with MWD. And we're looking at a lot of options to minimize that. One of the reports that I presented to Mr. Cern last week is we're looking at how much water do we really need to store. You know, that storage is part of it, and we haven't finished the analysis, but once we do that, we can present to you what the savings are and how that impacts our operation to make us more efficient.
okay, sounds good. Thank you. Other questions? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you, both of you, all 3 of you. Next item, please.
4C, customer service update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tammy Valier, Customer Services Administrator. The first part of my discussion with you today is going to be the standard customer service update, and it will represent the first quarter. Most of the slides you'll see are projected. And then the second part of the presentation is a new program GWP has through a company called WaterSmart. Atine mentioned this. It has a lot of benefits to our customers. Our marketing department, IT, and customer service has worked very closely together for the past several months to launch this, and I think you're going to be very pleased with that program. So in the first quarter, we received over 71,000 customer contacts, and this projects to be about 286,000 by the end of the fiscal year. You can see that last year our contacts actually decreased, and that was primarily due to all of the self-service options that we're offering our customers. But for the first quarter, we had a lot of new programs that we offered, and then we also had the electric and water rate increase. So that is resulting in a 7% increase over last year.
So do you compile these in terms of negative or positive contacts? Because it seems that with all the new programs, there may be positive customer contacts with the utility, not ones that are, my bill is too high, or... Do you know what I mean?
We don't categorize them that way, but I can tell you the majority of our contacts are billing inquiries in general, just trying to understand what the change is, in particular with the increases. And I have a slide that I'll kind of speak to a little bit on that one. This slide breaks down all of the contacts by category. The telephone calls increased 13% alone. That results in about 1,000 additional phone calls per month. And the web email increased 75% from last year, with 25% of those being water waste reports through the email. This is a projected number, and it's hard to project this because as the weather gets cooler, there's a good chance that maybe those water waster reports will go down. But on the flip side, if we move into a higher phase of mandatory conservation, or if we have the surcharge, that could actually increase those calls when people start to become more sensitive to water waste. Currently, our abandon rate surpasses our goal of less than 4%, and some of those contributing factors are staff reductions, the 13% increased call volume, longer contact handle time, which I'll discuss, and power outages. And not that we've had very many power outages, but when we do get them, we get an influx of calls, hundreds at a time, and typically a customer will be on hold and they'll finally realize that their neighbor is off also. They know it's a power outage and they hang up. But those do contribute to the abandoned call rate. So this is our average telephone handle time, and you can see that it has increased from about 5.5 minutes to 7.5 minutes, almost 7.5 minutes. And this includes both the time the customer rep is speaking with the customer, which is considered the talk time, and then also wrap-up time. And wrap-up time consists of a customer rep needing to document an account. They may need to email a PVC program application. They may need to fax something. So this is both the wrap-up and the talk time. The first quarter, the calls were primarily taking longer because of those two rate changes. So in July, we had the electric rate increase, and then in September, we had the water rate increase. Whenever we have an increase, we prorate bills between the old and the new rate, and so that prompts customers to call. They may not be able to calculate it on their own. They'll call the customer service reps. We're more than happy to walk them through the math, but that does take an extra long time having to do that. And then the other reason is that our transactions are taking more time because the customer service reps have so many more tools available to them. They're using multiple systems and portals to review interval data. They help customers review their usage patterns. They may help customers see if there's a potential water leak, and they're navigating through several portals, and we don't want to rush customers off the phone because we want to push them to the self-service options so they can actually do it themselves in the future. But that is contributing to the long talk time.
I want to ask a question right there. So we understand why it's causing that. Are we doing anything about it? Are we hiring more CSRs, or, I mean, like for a short period, a period where you expect, these calls will be coming in? What are we doing?
We're actually interviewing for 2 customer service reps currently, but you have to keep in mind that to be self-sufficient on the telephones is about 6 months of training. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these situations, like I said, we're pushing customers to use these self-service options, but they're new. So they're calling now, but that doesn't mean that in 12 months from now, mm-hmm. they're necessarily going to be calling. So we don't necessarily want to bring on full-time staff or overstaff and then have all of these contacts reduced.
Overtime? Are we doing part-time?
We're not doing part-time. Like I said, we're bringing 2 more staff on. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that manages our abandon rate. Okay. The abandon rate's at 4.8 right now. The goal is under 4. It's not mm-hmm. really bad. Some of the larger areas of concern, which you'll see later, are walk-in cashiering payments, where there are very long lines at the cashier station. This seems to be more date-driven, too. There's certain times of the month where we have calls that are just nonstop all day long, mm-hmm. And then may slow down later in the month.
Okay. Your explanations are great. Viewers are listening to you, and they'll understand. If they hit one of these, they understand why. But yeah, if there's any way we can come up with temporary solutions, whether it's in at the branches or at GWP, it'd be great too. Okay, thank you.
I'll talk with Mr. Zern about that. Okay, payments by type. These are the different ways we receive our payments, and as you can see, we are up to 52% of our payments made through one of the several electronic payment options that we offer. And this is a really good thing. There is back office staff time to process these payments and post them to customer accounts, but far less than a walk-in payment where you're interacting with a customer, you're counting money, you're balancing your drawer, and then when all that's done, you still need to do the back office processing piece of posting it to the accounts. So on the cashier payments, out of all of the payment options, our primary goal is to reduce these payments made at the cashiering window. We had a slight decrease over last year of 2%, but our goal is to reduce walk-in payments by 5% each year. We recently added Pay Near Me as where customers can pay in cash at 7-Eleven, and over the next couple of months we plan to have a Pay Near Me representative in our lobby talking to customers and promoting that form of payment. Marketing has developed a poster that we're going to have there in the lobby, and they're putting together marketing material that will be at each cashier station that lays out all of the payment options that customers have available to them.
Yeah, what you just described, I remember it was discussed either last year or the year before when it first became available. I definitely would like to see some stats on there, like, for instance, what percentage, of customers actually did that and what amount of money we collected through that route.
Okay.
At maybe your next update or next reporting would be great.
I can tell you it's a small percentage. It's about 150 transactions per month right now that we're taking through Pay Near Me. They are all over the country, though. We've received payments in New York State, all over the country. But Pay Near Me does want to come in to see why, because we have such a large cash and carry customer base, why they're not using the Pay Near Me option. There is a $2.99 transaction fee, but there are other cities that are charging a lot more for that for credit card payments. So they're going to come and spend 2 months in the lobby and survey some of our customers and promote it more, and we'll see what happens with that. But I'd be more than happy to give you specific
It's an interesting dynamic we need to take a look at in general.
Right.
I mean, we have a feeling that we're going to have a certain base of our customers that are always going to bring their payment in. And based on my conversations with some, that is it. It is from their hand to our hand, and that's it.
Right.
And there's absolutely no change in their mind. And that has nothing to do with anything else. They have a computer. They know about 7-Eleven. They know all these things. But it will be that cash or check from their hand to ours. And so to what extent we can try to get some of those folks to use other means, we don't have the resources any longer to run counter hours all day long. In fact, we're looking at the potential citywide of decreasing our counter hours because we have had such tremendous staff cutbacks. And we're not bringing staff back. I mean, that's the reality of where we are. So this will be a great exercise, actually, and the company doing it for us, essentially, is to come in and say, wonder what it is that these folks are concerned about and what it is that we need to do to encourage them to use another format. But I have a sense that we're going to have a core group that is always going to want to bring that to the counter. Not a drop box. It is actually, like I said, hand to hand. And, I know there are people that use the bank that way as well. It's the same kind of concept. So we'll see.
Okay.
And the company Pay Near Me will be hiring a GYA employee that will speak Armenian who can help translate and discuss this with the customers.
Okay.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, our web email contacts increased 75%. These are very time-consuming for us, and they are presenting some challenges for us. The ability for customers to contact us via email is great. For the customer, they can look at their bill. If they have a question, they can just shoot a question off and be done with it. They don't have to call and not know how long they're going to have to wait on the phones. So we want to continue giving them this avenue of communication for us. But on our side, the challenge is that when somebody sends you an email, the expectation that you're going to respond to them just as quick is there. And we're challenged by that because it is a lot easier for us to just answer a question on the telephone rather than draft a response. We do have some templates, but there always seems to need some type of customization to our response. So we are really struggling with how to meet our goal there, which for years was 100% turnaround in 24 hours. And we're just not able to meet that right now. So what we are doing is making the goal 100% within 24 hours for those that are time sensitive, such as a turn on, a turn off, or a payment arrangement that could result in disconnection if it wasn't approved on time. And then a lot of our water waster reports are just general rate questions. We do either during a slow part of the day, if there is one, or slower part of the week.
Have you considered a chat or instant message option to deal with some of those rapid response, like one-off kinds of questions?
We've talked about it a lot, but that really does require at least one full-time person because they have to be available right then and there.
Yeah, and it couldn't be a 24-hour option, obviously, but for sort of those surge hours that when you experience a high volume of emails, to sort of siphon a few of those off to a chat option where you can answer a yes/no kind of question very quickly and then dispense with it and not have to do the whole
Yeah,
down response?
we are talking about that. We have talked about it, but again, staff resources, to have somebody available to do that, and how we work that in. But that is something that a lot of companies and utilities are doing now. Okay, here is the breakdown of the emails. I think you had mentioned, Commissioner Camargo. Excuse me, water waster reports is a large portion of these contacts. And again, this is just the web email piece of the contacts. And these, like the rest of the email contacts, take a lot of time. But these in particular, because it could result in 3 different transactions. So you have the person reporting the violator, and they want to, unless it's anonymous, they want you to get back to them to at least let you know that we received it and we're going to do something about it. We'll contact the customer. Then we try and contact the customer by telephone. If we can't reach them, then we send them a letter. So just one inquiry could end up into 3 different written communications. So these do take a lot of time, and as the cooler weather comes, maybe those slow down a little bit. But sometimes we have people that take their morning walks, and that day they'll submit 20 different names to us. And so we have to get back to those. So, we're working through those. This slide provides some detail as to what is different this year, and this is all contacts now: counter, front desk, telephone. We had the peak alerts, which is a new program, and this was where we asked customers to reduce usage on a particular day, and that we did receive calls regarding that, just questioning what it was about, wanting more information, or maybe they only heard part of the message, so they called to get more information. Fraud reports. These are customers in which someone has impersonated GWP over the telephone, attempting to collect some money. And you can see this is not a large number, but these are really important to us, and they take a lot of time, because we want our customers to know that we would never, ask for money over the telephone. We want them to know that this is a nationwide problem, that this is not, just a GWP problem. We usually have to explain to them why we can't compensate them if they actually did pay the person impersonating. And then after we're done with the phone call, then we have internal people that we need to report that to. So again, it's not a large number, but we are very sensitive to that. And marketing has put together a sticker that will go out to these stores that sell these green dot. It's a green dot scam. It's like a gift card or credit card, and that's typically what the impersonator wants the customers to go and pay with. So the police department's going to help us go to the Rite Aids or the CVS's and post them the warnings there on the sign, on the stands. And then, of course, water conservation and mandatory water conservation and the water wasters. Okay, moving on to field operations and billing. This slide shows an increase to the number of electric meter transactions we were able to complete remotely from the office. This benefits us by avoiding a truck roll, processing requests effectively and timely without having to schedule appointments with customers, and customers don't have to wait for us, for a 2-hour window waiting around for us to come for an appointment. Out of all of the electric meters, 97% of our electric meters have the remote functionality. The other 3% are large service panels, and those are handled by our utility operations center. Our goal is to complete 95% of the electric orders remotely, and you can see we're already at 90%. And then as far as billing exceptions, on a monthly average, we bill approximately 45,500 bills, and almost 6% of those end up being a bill exception. And a bill exception is an account that does not, it's rejected from the daily billing batch. And that could be because we didn't have a read. It could be because the usage was higher or lower than normal, and so a customer service rep needs to review that account before we actually release it to be billed. As you can see, there's been a steady decrease in the number of exceptions, and that is due to the AMI. We don't have readers out in the field that can't access gates, and then they come back to the office and we don't have a read. They're not dealing with dogs in the yard. So for the majority, you can see that the system brings back the reads and everything is fine. Other than a meter read, if it's a high or low issue, we have tools available to us now where the customer service rep can go in, they can analyze the usage, they can see if the customer's typical pattern, usage pattern has changed, and pretty much determine whether or not it's an actual good bill or not, and then they can release it. Our goal for this is to reduce exceptions by 20% over the next 2 years, or each year for the next 2 years. And we're confident we can meet this because we continue to strengthen the communication for AMI, where there's areas, apartment buildings where we may not get good reads. We're adding range extenders and other types of communication tools. And then we've drastically reduced the number of truck rolls and mileage put on vehicles prior to AMI, which is the 2007-08 base year. You can see that we had 100% truck rolls for all service orders. And this slide represents both electric and water service orders. And then keep in mind that we will always have truck rolls for water. Although the system brings in the water read and we have interval data for water, there's not the remote functionality for turning it on and off. So, if we're ever turning on a single-family home and they have a separate water meter, of course we have to roll a truck for that. And then the field technicians are also doing additional AMI work that requires a roll truck for meter mitigation or if they're helping a customer with a customer-side water leak. And you may have noticed there's not a 1415 information here, and this is because we do report truck roll and mileage to the DOE, and they're on a summer-winter schedule. So at the next update, we'll have information. That brings us to Water Insight. Do you have any questions before I start that?
I am still trying to figure out this chart here, the reduced truck rolls and mileage. So the blue, all orders, electric and water, and there's a 41%, and then there's a 28%, 24%. The 41% in 2011 and 12, is that 41% of the base year 2007 and 8? It looks like it.
It is
huh? 41%.
We kind of played on how to reflect this, but it's 41% of all orders required a truck roll. And then in 12-13, 28% required a truck roll. And then in 13-14, 24%.
Required truck rolls. I see what you're saying. Okay. I see. Okay. Thank you. We can move on.
Okay, so this brings us to Water Insight. WaterSmart software is a customer engagement and data analytics platform, and we've partnered with them to bring us the Water Insight program. It helps water utilities educate and engage their customers to save water and money. It offers a turnkey cloud-based engagement, analytics, and behavioral water efficiency solution that helps utilities save up to 5% in the first 6 months and reduces variability and improves control. For Glendale, we have a total of 18,496 participants. They receive a paper report or an emailed report if we have their email on file. And then we have an additional 4,000 multifamily customers who just have access to the portal and do not receive reports. And those would be for multifamily apartments that have their own individual water meter. We do have a control group of 3,261. They do not receive any form of communication or report for comparison reasons. And this is how we will measure the success of the program is through comparing the control to the participants. Water reports are mailed or emailed bi-monthly. All customers have access to an online portal that shows their usage in near real time, and they can review it either daily or hourly or weekly. And then customers can also use the portal to change their household profiles, such as square footage, the number of occupants, the percent of irrigation their yard may have. Reports include water usage, comparison to similar size homes, specific tips on how to reduce water usage, and water saving program info. So it's similar, very similar to O-Power that we have on the electric side.
So how long will the experimental part of the implementation of this go? So in other words, how long are you going to keep the control group as control group?
Let me ask Craig.
No problem.
Craig Keenan, Business Transformation and Marketing Administrator. That's for the first year. I should also note that if you are in the control group and you want access to the web, you just call us up, and we've had close to 50-some customers move out of the control group to get access. So,
thank you.
Okay, and then some of the benefits is when customers have near real-time access to their water information, they know how and when they are using water, rather than waiting to receive a bill, which in our case is 60 days later. Customers can track their own usage and also see how similar homes are doing. Customers receive conservation tips specific to their usage and how much they will save. Also, this is the first time that we've been able to offer customers their near real-time usage. We're giving customers these tools. Giving customers these tools gives them the advantage of understanding their usage and their patterns. And then water customer leaks. Customers can sign up for leak alerts. If we have their email already, they're automatically getting them. So we're really encouraging customers, if we don't have their email, to either go onto the portal and provide it, or to give us a call. We'll add it to their account. So if the customer has a leak, they'll receive an email or a letter notifying them of a possible leak or unusually high usage. And then in the near future, they're planning to offer the text alerts as well. And then the way we know that there is a leak is because there's a consistent flow. WaterSmart receives the interval data, and then if there's consistent flow on the meter, it never goes to zero over a 24-hour period, then there's an indication that there's a leak. And then on the other side, if there is a spike in usage or high volume, that can also be considered a leak. And it may not necessarily be an ongoing leak, but it could be a sprinkler valve that's broken, and if your sprinkler's set for the middle of the night, you really have no idea that it's a fountain out in the backyard. But we'll know through the system that that's unusual for your history, and then you'd get some type of an alert. And I believe they've already sent out about 1,800 alerts to our customers.
And these are the customers who are residential customers who are receiving paper and our email reports.
These are of the 18,000 participants.
Participants, right? And the participants are from these residential customer database who are receiving paper and our email reports at the current time.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
So for more information or to sign up for the portal, they do have to register with the portal if they want to go and update their profiles, or if they want to just see their reports online, then they can go to GlendaleWaterPower.com and they can do that there. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Questions? No questions. Okay, next item, please.
5, oral communication.
We don't have any today. So,
6, agenda forecast.
Okay, for December, yeah, it looks very full. I don't have anything else to add.
One thing I want to point out on here, and this goes all the way down, we've got our strategic plan, quarterly update, and KP update, but we've got it in the month ending, so that won't be possible. So we will push all of those forward 1 month so that we can have the complete quarter done and give you that report when we have our meeting the next month.
Yes,
So
that sounds good.
you'll see it go all the way down the line. We'll
Right.
correct this for the next meeting.
Yes, that's fine.
And I will point out, we'll probably, don't have all the information now, but it's a chance that January 5th meeting could be canceled. Council's going dark. A lot of staff is taking the holiday, so, but we'll give you plenty of warning on that. Probably talk about it more next month or send you something out.
Okay, so we will either skip that month or just
Likely
reschedule a
skip that
special
month.
meeting?
Yeah, we'll likely just
Okay.
go from the end of February.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned the KPI and the strategic plan, right?
We're
Will be
tying
shared.
those two together, at least for
Right.
now. The KPI being just the update, that's council's update, but we want you
Right.
to see it as it relates to GWP. Strategic plan is done, and now we're going to report to you quarterly with our green, yellow, red scoring or evaluation,
Yes.
and talk about it each quarter, at the end of each quarter.
So on December, in the context of the water conservation updates and the impact of the delayed drought rates, could we actually also get a revenue forecast for the water system as well?
Yeah, we'll give you what we've experienced, so far, and then project that out for at least that 6-month moratorium period.
Okay.
Also, last meeting is reflected in the meeting minutes. We talked about having staff return in March 2015 with the integrated resource plan analysis and report their findings. I see also then in April that we have the integrated resource plan final update. So not clear whether we need sort of a preliminary report in March and then final update in April or something else.
There is there's an update in January, the integrated resource, but we may not have that meeting.
Right, but we'll move that. Either we'll push it, depending on how much information we have, maybe we'll give it to you in February and then come back to you with something more final in April or May. Our projected completion on that is 6 months, so it'll be around March. So maybe we can get back to you a little bit earlier. Yeah, that meeting in January was where we had intended to do it, but we'll see. Maybe we can give you something in December to let you know. We don't have a lot really to report at this point in time because we've cut them loose to gather data. So the consultant is gathering data like crazy, and I'm not sure we'll even have anything next month. But we'll get back to you on that.
Are you planning on linking that together with the budget presentation at all, or?
Well,
I think that comes around April or May, right?
yeah, and the IRP will have some impact on the budget, but I kind of want it to be a standalone so you see. It's a planning document. It shows the future of where we're going in a lot of different directions, from generation to transmission to renewables. So I'd like to be able to have, because what we're going to end up doing is taking that document to council and presenting it to them, and that's where we're going to get a final decision on whether we move forward with repowering Grayson or not, and to what degree or to what iteration we're going to do to repower Grayson. So you should see that separate from the budget.
Right, separate and before. Yep. Separate and at least 1 month before.
Yep.
Right?
Yep,
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so we're looking at that possibly in April then?
Yeah, because I think the request was to have a little bit of an earlier preview if you could, and we will try to do that for you.
Right, okay. As we just discussed, there is a budget presentation usually, and that's not on here. Should we put that down here?
Yeah, we can. We hadn't finalized where we're going to be at that point because there's also a mid-year budget a consideration that council is going to have. So we were going to come back to present to you what occurred at that particular during that particular time. Likely, and as I sit here, it won't have a lot of impact on water and power, more the general fund. But nonetheless, if there is something pertinent to water and power, we'll bring that back to you. Otherwise, we're probably looking at somewhere around that May. When we would bring the budget to you.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Do we have any other changes?
I would actually, if my fellow commissioners are interested, like to hear actually from MWD somewhere in the February timetable, if we could request a presentation
Sure.
from MWD on their storage rates, what their future plans are for conservation measures, things like that.
Sure, we'll have Mr.
Yeah.
Boyd make
Yeah, I
that
think
request.
That's good. Good idea. So MWD in February. Anything else? No? Okay. Next item. Okay, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.